Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast. I'm your host, Anish Gupta.
And I'm Srikar Gendron.
We are back. We are back. We are back. We
We're
took
sorry.
another break. But it's NFL season's coming back. Preseason already happened. We're already a week in, and lots kind of to talk about. We're finally coming back to the season. I am so hyped. I'm so excited. I'm sure NFL fans around the world are, so ecstatic about it. Literally less than a month away from kickoff. No better time than this. I think it's September 8th, a Bills Rams. So
Yep.
that's literally less than a month away. So I'm so pumped for it. It's the only thing that's making me look forward to having to do all of these hard college classes. But it's keeping me going. Let's not really waste any time. Aside from not much has really happened except a suspension to my star quarterback, and then a settlement, and then a appeal.
A whole spiel of
Yeah,
things.
we'll kind of save it for when it kind of
We'll save it.
actually happens. But we'll start with something that did happen that pretty recently. Zach Wilson did go down with a bone bruise and a meniscus tear. I believe it was their preseason game. I think it was like on Thursday or Friday. And the NFL world was in shock because for a good night, everybody thought it was an ACL. And, all the hype he was getting throughout the offseason, obviously he had that little story with his girlfriend and his mom. So that was a little, buying into the Zach Wilson, fandom. Thankfully he wasn't diagnosed with a torn ACL. It was just a meniscus tear and a bone bruise, which isn't, just a soft spot, by the way. He did undergo arthroscopic surgery. It was deemed a success. And they said that, it wasn't, there's, I guess, different layers on how, bad a meniscus tear is. They said they did a slight trim on like the meniscus that was required, like it only required a trim. That was what doctors basically said. I don't really know what that means, but a trim obviously sounds good. So surgery was a success. Again, he's expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks. And I think they're going to push that out a little bit, which means more than likely Joe Flacco is probably going to take the field against the Ravens, ironically the team that he won Super Bowl with week 1. So we're going to kind of talk about the injury. What does it mean, I guess, and what's the Jets outlook, because I'm going to throw this at you. The Jets schedule for the first 6 weeks, even with
Brutal.
Zach Wilson, it's Ravens at home, at Browns, I believe then it's the Bengals at home, at the Steelers. So they play the entire AFC North first 4 weeks. Then they play the Dolphins and the Packers. Now, take that as you might, for non-Jets fans, that looks like 0-6. Like, that really could be 0-6 or 1-5, So I'll let Srikar maybe start it off. Thoughts on the injury, and then what's the outlook, man?
Well, it's funny you say that because in my playoff predictors, I actually had them starting 0-6. I'm pretty sure. But it was actually on Friday. I was at the Niners game, which I'll talk about in a bit. But the rumors were flying about Jimmy Garoppolo to the Jets. Obviously I was buying it too, but it really seemed like they were going to be headed for Jimmy Garoppolo if Zach Wilson had a torn ACL like people were thinking. And instead, the Jets were faced with some luck, which if you're the Jets, luck never comes around. So this is kind of their one-off sort of thing. But yeah, they were playing the Eagles, and on the play, it was just a simple scramble, Jets on scramble. Wilson hit a juke and crumbled to the grass. And in that moment, every single Jets fan in New York was just holding their breath. I mean, he looked to be seriously hurt, and he is expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks, as Goop said, with a torn meniscus and a bone bruise, but it could have been a lot worse. So I agree. I think they will push it out as well. I think Flacco will play week 1. I'm saying right now they're going to lose that game. Even with Wilson, I would have picked Baltimore. And I mean, for New York, you got to thank your lucky stars that it was not a long-term injury, because if it was long-term, it would have been a total disaster, because this entire season is literally about finding out whether Zach Wilson is more than the first 6 games of last year or the last 7 when he threw for 5 touchdowns against 2 picks. Now it looks like the Jets are still on course to get their answer. So the Jets got very, very lucky. I'll just say it like that.
I mean, I'd be a little bit scared, though, because it was the same leg that he had the PCL issue with, which caused him to miss 4 games last year. So,
and we thought it'd be a PCL injury, too, right before the diagnosis came.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard, right? Same leg, 2 injuries back to back. But again, this is a second-year quarterback who's really young, has got a great arm, and I think, again, as you said, Shrikar, I think a lot of the season is really just trying to diagnose Zach Wilson from a football perspective. Is he the guy? And I think year two will be a really clear indicator of that. They've got a brutal schedule. I think that's just how it plays out for all the bottom feeders in the AFC. You're going to have to play teams that are better than you. And yeah, I mean, we mentioned the first 6 games, but they still got to play the Bills twice. The Patriots always beat them, right? And they got to play teams like the Vikings. So it's just all up in the air. I mean, this team really does not have that many shoe-in games. A lot of it is just going to come down to, winning that Sunday, right? And that's going to also come down to, is Zach Wilson going to, uplift his team when they, aren't expected to do so? I think that's kind of what you're looking for in this team. A lot of people saw them as, maybe a worst to first or a riser that could make the playoffs. I think those are kind of getting shut down with just how, other teams are kind of looking, especially in the AFC. But don't sleep on the fact that, Zach starts to look good. This team, maybe builds up steam towards the end of the year, makes a few moves the next year, and hey, they look pretty good because Mekhi Becton's supposed to miss the entire season, right? Like, they're just, I mean, like, what do you do with that, right? You spent a first-round pick on him, and he was looking like maybe a cornerstone at left tackle, and he just can't stay on the field because he's too big. Like, so, it seems like everything that can go wrong with the Jets players are going wrong. Obviously, they made some great offseason moves, Laken Tomlinson, and then the big three that they got in the first round with the draft. It's like hard not to like, but it's just not enough, right? For them compared to teams in the AFC. A lot of guys are unproven. And I think this is really the year where you find that out. And also you got to mention Robert Saleh, right? Is he going to be the coach moving forward?
Yeah.
Right? Like, another 4 or 5 win season is not going to pass, right? So
I mean, Douglas's job is safe, but
I think so. I think he just keeps making moves that, make sense. And I think the Jamal Adams trade was also another just, huge bonus on his kind of resume. So I think you're right. Douglas is safe, but Saleh is going to continue to get evaluated. And I think Jets fans, again, you got to hope a little bit more, wait a little bit more. But I think your time is coming. And I've always been a believer in Zach Wilson. So Jets fans.
Hey, Jets fans, I'll put it straight up for you. I don't know when your time is coming. Like, I literally don't know.
I mean, it sucks, man. Like, what? I think they're the longest drought. I'm pretty sure they're the longest playoff drought. It's Denver 2016. And I think they're 2010. So
yeah,
man, that's rough.
Brutal.
It's okay. I've been there. But times will look up. But speaking of other quarterbacks, we love talking about them here. And preseason week 1, what could you not like about, I guess the quarterbacks that did play? So Shriek and I are going to take 2 QBs that we liked, or at least played well, and, we kind of watched. So I'll let Shrikar start off with one of the guys that he saw maybe in person.
Definitely in person, yeah. We get to this point where Niners are giving the controls to Trey Lance. I think so far so good. Friday night against the Packers, I was in attendance for this game. He threw for 92 yards on 4 of 5 passing with a touchdown. Perfect passer rating, and then he was subbed out for Nate Sudfeld. And for Trey, it's a small step, but very positive step for a young guy. Only played in 5 games as a rookie, didn't throw many passes. And once the real games begin, I think the big question with Trey will be his accuracy. His accuracy was kind of on and off in that game, especially on shorter throws, which should be kind of gimmies, and whether he can pick apart what defenses are throwing at him. I think he did a good job of it in this game against the Packers. He made some good reads, but he had a year to learn from the bench. How much is it going to help? This is the ultimate wild card in the NFC we're talking about, and it's the driving question for a Niners team that has their sights set on a Super Bowl. So I think we saw the ultimate wild card in action. He looked great in Trey Lance.
When so many people sent me just clips of Trey Lance.
Danny Gray touchdown.
Everybody. I mean, the same thing last year. It was the who is it? Oh my God, Trent
Sherfield.
Sherfield. There you go. Yeah, everybody. I got maybe 40 messages of that same clip. And everybody was like, "Oh yeah, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?" And here I was like, "Here we go again."
Hey man, to be fair, it was a good throw. It was a good throw.
Yeah, and I've told everybody because everybody was like, "Oh, Goop's been real quiet about this one." I'm like, "Yeah, it was a good throw." But yeah, I truth be told, I didn't watch it I didn't watch the Niner preseason game. I watched the throw. I watched a couple of the highlights. So yeah, I saw all 4 of his completions. Look, The throw was good. The throw was good. But one good throw is not going to make me change my complete evaluation that I did
in
on
preseason week 1.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're continuing the trend like we are last year, then Trey Lance is just going to end up being an inaccurate first read guy. So let's not continue with that trend last year. But I will say this: I think you said accuracy. For me, it's decision making, right? It's going to come down to, I think that's the biggest thing to worry about for him is, rookie QBs or, young QBs, they thrive on disguise coverages. They thrive on single high safeties, lurking in the middle, just staring down the quarterback's eyes and you just honestly getting fooled by it. So I think that's something that Trey Lance is going to be, tested on a lot. And look, I mean, the reason why he has so many supporters and so many people who hype him up is because he's in Shanahan's offense. It's an outside zone scheme. I think it's it is a really good fit on paper, but it also comes down to the player itself. And a lot of quarterback traits I just don't see in him, and that's why I'm a little bit wary. But I can't deny what I saw, and what I did see was a really good throw. So kudos to him for doing that. And I think, again, this year is just really kind of with Zach Wilson, but with the Niners, it's obviously a little more steps forward because it's like if Trey really pans out this year, this team really could be in the Super Bowl, and Trey could be the first year starter to do that. Don't see it happening, but obviously time will tell. And I think Trey Lance is moving in the right direction somewhat because a lot of camp tape says that there's a lot to be desired, but game tape is always as good. So
well, he's stacking the days. I mean,
good tape never hurts. So I think kudos to him for that, but we'll kind of see. Moving on, a guy that I absolutely loved coming out of college. Obviously, never liked playing against him, but I loved him. Trevor Lawrence. I have been trying to tell everybody that Dougie P would be implementing an RPO scheme with him, and what the hell happened? I wish I could put up clips right now, but literally first, okay, so I watched the entire drive. They start off with stretch bootleg, hard play action to the left, and he throws a absolute dot down the sideline to, I believe, Zay Jones, and I'm like, here we go. I was so impressed. Like, I know it was week 1 of the preseason, I know. But man, I was in awe. And I know it says 6 for 10 on the box score, but oh my God, like the incompletions were like maybe like a tad hair off the hands or like a drop. Like, these were completions that I'm not mad about. Trevor Lawrence looked absolutely exceptional. They implemented a lot of RPO. It's for guys who really don't understand what an RPO looks like, or the easy way to look for it is when the QB does this. Like that's like, it's kind of an RPO play when they do a run pass option. They usually hand it off to the running back. Trevor Lawrence looked exceptional. He orchestrated, I believe, a touchdown drive, and I am excited. I remember saying last year that the Jags would be a 7-win team, I think I said.
Yeah.
I'm doubling down on that. I might double down on that claim if I see some good things again, because it's finding hard to see flaws in the direction they're heading in. Like, I love what T-Law's looked like.
Yep, absolutely. And I agree. Over the offseason when they hired Doug Peterson, thought it was great to bring a Super Bowl winning head coach in the building, liked what he could do with Trevor Lawrence. And yeah, I think Lawrence is definitely showing his fit in the scheme in this game. I think he looked great. And obviously the Jags, they spent a lot in free agency, the most out of any team. And hopefully those additions do help this team as well. I don't know if they're going to be a 7-win team. They could. I think it's not as bad as saying it last year, but look, I think he's in a great situation now. Hopefully the Jags can just get this thing back rolling, because hey, if you can find your franchise guy, Trevor Lawrence definitely has the makings of it, and I think he's going to put it on tape this year. He looked really good.
He is going to break out.
He's a unicorn. I mean, and he looks great in that sense too. So I think Trevor Lawrence definitely showed a lot of his potential in that game. And
Second Carson Wentz. I'm saying it right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, it's uncanny, the parallels. Like, watching him play, like, it's uncanny how similar it was to what Wentz did in 2017. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I was trying to tell people this, like, this is what, like, quarterbacks scheme fits are so important. And like, for example, why Watson went 1 for 5, right? Obviously he had a terrible debut, but like, I know we're talking about the good things, but yeah, Watson had a terrible debut because it's like, why are you running hard play action with a mobile quarterback like him, or like strong formation? Like, so many of these things are formation based, play calls, schemes, and people don't realize that when they look at these quarterbacks, but like, that's a really big thing, especially when they're young. And I think this was a huge step forward for T-Law.
Yep, I agree. My second quarterback here was Drew Lock. My division rival, Seattle Seahawks. Lock went 11 of 15, 102 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. And after watching both him and Geno Smith in that preseason game not too long ago, I think Seattle's offense felt better with Lock manning it. I think he just had an easier time just driving the ball down the field. Look, it's one half of a preseason game. It's not going to say much about if Drew Lock is Seattle's answer at QB or anything like that, but I did think he boosted his case for QB1. Now, he does have COVID right now, so we're not going to see him this week. I forget who they're playing, but he has COVID, so it's going to be Geno Smith. But I think I'll put it this way. Seattle knows what they're getting if they go with Geno Smith as QB1, but I think with Drew Lock, higher risk, higher reward. So I think in that sense, this team should go with Drew Lock as their QB1. I want to see how COVID kind of plays into it, but I think right now he's got the job.
So I've been saying throughout the offseason, I think the Seahawks are going to overachieve. I think I have them around 6 wins, 7. I think 6 is a good benchmark. Everyone has them like 4 or 3.
5.
I think they're going to overachieve. Like, they finally switched to a 3-4. I think, what do you call it? Their outside zone scheme. Like, Drew Lock is a really good fit. Like, I would get, starting Geno because I think he has a higher floor, but Drew Lock with his big arm is just, it's something that
it's a
you
much
can
higher
use.
ceiling.
Yeah, it's an added facet to an offense that thrived off it with Russell Wilson, right? Like, why wouldn't you start a guy who has the arm talent, or at least the arm capabilities that Wilson had, right? And you've got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who are locked up under contract, right? Like, these are two guys who are, exceptional at what they do. I think Drew Lock just gives them an added facet. So I'm forgetting his last name, but Shane's their offensive coordinator. I forget it. Like,
Shane Waldron.
Waldron. There you go, Shane Waldron. So I think he's cooking up some stuff on with Rashad Penny, Kenneth Walker, DK, and
it's McVay tree too. So,
and you know how I feel about that McVay tree. So, I think Drew Lock did look good. Again, with Seattle, I've been saying I think they're going to overachieve. So, my stance really hasn't changed on that. I think everything looked good. We're going to round it out with the quarterbacks, though. Baker Mayfield, Carolina Panthers. So I woke up and I watched that game. It was so ironic because it was Baker Mayfield and Carson Wentz. And, oh my God, it was so hard. Like, it was so hard seeing him in a Carolina Panthers uniform. Like, it was so hard. Like, I couldn't, because, that was the first quarterback that I genuinely thought was our guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to see your franchise QB move on like that and to play for, because, like, think about it, right, Shriek? You had you had Alex Smith, Cap, and
I don't think it's that sort of a situation, though.
Right? Like,
Not
yeah,
as with the
exactly.
Browns.
Because it's right. Because, I mean, Smith went to the Chiefs, but it's like you had Cap in the meantime, right? Like, you had a guy to root for. But for me, it was so hard just watching him orchestrate it. And he did so well. Like, he only had one drive. It was 12 plays. But the only reason they didn't score a touchdown on that drive was a botched snap and a miscommunication on third down. So I thought he looked excellent. I thought his arm looked great. And, prior to him injuring his shoulder, he had the highest completion percentage in the league. So I've been saying this. I think Baker is overhated. I think he's going to do wonders in Carolina. I think he should be the starter. I think they'll announce it soon. I really don't think it's that close. Darnold had one cool touchdown pass to Hollywood Higgins. Great for him. He can't see the field the way Baker can, which is ironic because he's 5 inches taller. But yeah, I think Baker Mayfield is poised to shut up a lot of haters this year. And I think Carolina, just watching that preseason week 1, it just added a little win to me on their little schedule. I think it added a win for me. Like, I think they're gonna also overachieve. I'm liking these Panthers.
Well, it didn't add a win for me. I'm sticking. I'm sticking with 7-10 for this Panthers team, which it's not bad. I mean, Baker's definitely the upgrade there. And yeah, I saw a report, I think it's from Jeff Howe. They are expecting to name Baker Mayfield the starter relatively soon,
I'm
which was
so excited, man.
expected. Sam Darnold was not going to win that job, but they made it a QB battle because, hey, why not? Let's grab some more attention, Matt Rule.
How am I gonna do it, man? September, what is it? September 11th? How am I gonna watch? Um,
Browns Panthers.
Dude, how am I gonna watch? I don't know. Like, it's gonna be so hard. Like,
Well,
3 hours for like, because those games matter. Like, that's a win or a loss on the season. Like,
it's pretty funny too because of how the saga ended with Baker and
I
how
can't.
the
It's gonna be
organization did
so
him
hard.
wrong.
Yeah, could you imagine? I mean, I've waited what over 6 months for the season to start, right? And it's gonna be
It's
or
gonna be
seven,
Browns
right? 'Cause-
Panthers week
Yeah,
one.
and it's gonna be like, that's gonna be so bad. I also have to watch
Yeah.
Wentz versus the Browns, so that'll be whatever.
You mean Wentz versus the Jags?
Hmm?
Wentz versus the
Oh
Jags.
yeah, that
T
too.
Law and Wentz week one.
Yeah,
Very
because
intriguing matchups
I'm
for
kind of
you.
moving on, because like Cup's already succeeded, Debo's already done his thing, Josh Allen's out there. I'm kind of finding these new wave of guys that I'm kind of looking out for. But yeah, Baker and CMC being on the same team definitely helps me root for them. But yeah, we're kind of, I guess, enough about quarterback talk. We'll move on with our. It's gonna be weekly now, weekly fantasy segment, because I know how we said that earlier, and we took what 2.5 weeks
Yeah,
off.
we just
Yeah, so fantasy segment, we're going to do two players that we would take a gamble on in your respective drafts. And keep in mind, at least my two players are in different positions of the draft. My first one is, really early. Like, I think you should take a late second or early third round pick on him. And Srikar's, I think, are more of sleeper picks, but I'll let you start off.
So the two players, you want to do this one at a time or just both at once?
Let's go one at a time.
Okay. So first player I chose was Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, well, I'll make it quick. With Juju, shifting from Big Ben to Mahomes is huge. I also like him a lot more in that Andy Reid style offense rather than, a slower pace in Pittsburgh where he's, kind of run first. And you go to a pass first offense, I think it's much better. He'll be great working out of the slot. And I think he could definitely come out of nowhere to put up 1,000-yard season. I think he is the wide receiver one there, unless Sky Moore has something to say about it. But as of right now, I think he is going to be a great weapon for Mahomes out of the slot, and I think he's going to be a great fit in this Chiefs offense. So I think he's a good sleeper pick for fantasy there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think he's going to be their X they're like Chiefs run spread, so they're going to run a lot of bunch and trips. I think Juju Smith-Schuster, again, as you kind of mentioned, I thought he was a pretty fluid route runner with Pittsburgh. Obviously, he struggled when he was asked to be a wide receiver one, right? And with Kansas City, he's going to kind of be asked to doing the same thing. McCole Hardman also just went down with an injury, so we're going to kind of look at him to see some added work. But yeah, I think you should take a definite late round flyer on him, especially if you're in PPR formats. For me, the guy that I would take late second round, early third round, and I actually did, is James Conner. A lot of my friends were like really down on when I picked him, but he was RB6 in fantasy last year, right? He had I think he had like 17 or 18 total touchdowns. And sure, I get that may not be sustainable, but why not? Like Chase Edmonds is now gone, right? That was their primary pass catcher out the backfield. He got his touchdowns were pretty spread out, so it wasn't just when Kyler missed those 4 games. I mean, I'm like, what is there not to like about him? He's still he's still kind of in his prime. He was drafted in 2018. Like, I think he's got all the tools to have another top 10 RB season. So if I'm if Kamara had just gone and you're kind of deciding between Connor, Chubb, kind of in that tier. I don't really know who else is in that, but receiver wise would probably be AJ Brown around the top of the third round, right? Like Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, something like that. I would take James Conner over all those guys.
Yeah, he's clear-cut running back one in Arizona. He can do work in the receiving game. I'm with you.
D-Hop too for 6 weeks.
Yep, no D-Hop, which makes him even more of a factor when, Kyler Murray's throwing. I think it works. He'll be great off screens too. So I think Connor's a good pick there. Second player I chose was Isaiah McKenzie. This is, I'm really tapping into the sleeper bag here, but McKenzie, he's had a good offseason, and with Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, they're no longer there in Buffalo. I think McKenzie's role is definitely going to increase. And sure, the Bills added Jamison Crowder this offseason as well, but I think McKenzie is going to be firmly in place as that wide receiver 3 behind Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis. So with Beasley and Sanders gone, I think he's going to get some more targets there. And he's had a great camp so far. So I think the role the increased role and the increased target share is what leads me to believe that this is going to be a good sleeper pick if you're, picking very late in like a 12 or a 14-man league.
I'm not sold on McKenzie. So
Wow.
I like look, I think Jamison Crowder is a proven vet, and I think that's why they got him there. And I think he also operates strictly out of the slot, which is what they need. Also, Khalil Shakir had an amazing preseason week 1, and I think his stock is just going up. So I'm a little bit scared of taking McKenzie in just a room that features 5 receivers, right? Like, obviously, Diggs will be Stephon Diggs, and I think Gabe Davis is well placed as a receiver too. But again, you got to realize, he never had more than 500 yards before, and again, he's living a lot on his stock from that divisional round game when Stephon Diggs drew a lot of double teams. So I would say it's a really crowded receiver room, which is why I'm a little bit scared of Isaiah McKenzie. But I do agree with you. I think he has the most upside out of the 3 of, Jamison Crowder, him, and maybe Khalil Shakir. But I think Jamison Crowder is more of a proven vet, which is why they would probably want to use him. So I'm a little
Proven vet, but 2 different roles.
Yeah, I'm a little bit scared just because of the receipt. Like, that would probably be my main reason why I wouldn't take a chance. Like, for me, so my second sleeper, which is a guy I think people will like, he will be drafted. McKenzie, I don't know about. Like, I feel like he wouldn't, like, some 12-man, he would probably slip out of it. But this is a guy I know for sure would be drafted, Drake London. And I think obviously, with fantasy specifically, people tend to mention quarterback play like a lot. And that's fine and dandy and all, but like, also let's focus on the player. Like, Drake London, as much as, I've kind of said he's not the best in his class, he's a damn good player though. Like, he's going to be the receiver 1 in a Falcons offense that Arthur Smith loved his X. Like, he loved AJ Brown to use wide receiver 1. He would give him so many different routes to use, especially over the middle. And who better to throw over the middle than a guy who's 6'5" and played basketball? Like, he's going to be fine. I think, despite whoever the quarterback is, Drake London is going to see a lot of targets. And I think he's a guy that you should definitely target in, like the 8th round or something if he's available. Over wide receiver 2s, you got to take a guy like Drake London. I think his upside is very, very much there, especially in an offense that'll probably be down in a lot of games, and they'll probably have to throw, and they're going to use a lot of singular receiver sets, and who better to use than their 8th overall pick? So I'm all in on Drake London.
I think the main concern I agree with you, but I think the main concern for people when they're drafting Drake London is health. Obviously, he got hurt in that preseason game, injury history at USC. I mean, he's a rookie though, so I wouldn't really push it against him. As in terms of role, in terms of target share, I think he'll be fine. And I think he's worth a pick as well.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you got 2 guys in Kyle Pitts and Drake London who are athletic freaks. Like, It's going to be hard not to target those 2 guys throughout the course of a game. Like, I think they will get their touches, which is why I think, definitely take a late round flyer on him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're back. Just, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'm so excited for, the season start, and we're going to get you guys all the content in the world. Trevor Lawrence, you noticed I talked about him a lot, doing some film breakdown on him, maybe coming out soon, but yeah, stay tuned for all that stuff. I'm going to be posting a lot more of our NFL shorts on this channel, so feel free to tune into those. They're, little 1-minute clips of something, fun and exciting. But thank you guys so much for watching. We've been the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast, and we will see you guys next time.